From San Diego, California, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call on the HUG hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's show, we talk about those special marriage hacks to make it through the holidays.
And as we do so, I want you to think about this quote from Holtz. He said, "It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way that you carry it." Mm-hmm. And nowhere is that more true than when you're dealing with the stress of the holidays. And we start each and every One Extraordinary Marriage show with a hug. It's an opportunity for you to hear from someone else in the one family who's experiencing breakthrough or transformation. And this week's hug is brought to you by Kingdom Planners. And you can find them at kingdomplanners.com. And, I don't know if you've ever tried to plan a Disney trip or thought about taking a Disney vacation. And you just kind of feel overwhelmed with all of the restaurants, which resort, where do we go? We have this experience going on right now in our own lives. Our daughter is getting ready to celebrate her birthday and she wanted to go to Disney.
Yeah, and for her, she wanted to experience the park. And we're going to Disneyland right here in Anaheim, California. It's near our home, about an hour and a half away. And so with Kingdom Planners, all we have to do is get them her wish list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, as some of you are thinking about the holidays, you may be thinking, what, my kids don't need any more toys. We've got enough stuff. And this might be the year that you think about doing the experience instead of the toys. And when you start thinking about that, you're like, okay, but what do I do and how do I do it? Well, that's where Kingdom Planners comes in. They come and all I did was call them up and say, this is what we're looking to do. This is how we want to do it. This is her wish list. They answered all my questions and more. Not only did they do that, but they put together a custom itinerary full of her wishes, planned down to the minute, which, as a mom, I know we're going to have some flexibility in there. But the beauty of it is that what we received was so much more than I could have ever figured out on my own. And you want to go to the experts, right? You guys come to One Extraordinary Marriage for the experts in marriage. Go to Kingdom Planners for the experts in all things Disney. One of the things that I was so impressed with them is that they have the distinction of being an authorized Disney vacation planner, right? There are not a lot of folks that have that designation, and they receive that designation as a result of their ongoing focus and commitment to planning customized magical trips to all the Disney parks, the Disney cruises, and the Disney vacation destinations worldwide. These guys, folks, they're the experts. I want you to go and check them out because their service and making it customizable just for you and your family is top notch. So go to kingdomplanners.com and tell them that One Extraordinary Marriage sent you. And here's the icing on the cake. Their services are free. You're never going to pay more booking with them than if you had gone and done it on your own. So free, fully customizable, and access to Disney all over. Go to kingdomplanners.com. So here's the hug. It came from an email and it said, I'm a recent listener. I started in September and I'm making my way through the older podcasts before I listen to the recent ones. I just finished episode 173. Now that's 173 episodes in 9 weeks.
Killing it.
Holy cow. Holy cow. She goes on to say, I absolutely love your show. And in every single episode, I hear a little golden nugget of wisdom that I can absorb and apply to my relationship. You two are a beautiful couple. Keep up the good work.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love the binge listening too. As a binge listener to podcasts myself, I totally get it.
When you find what you love, you just dig in with,
just keep on
2 ears.
listening.
I was going to say both feet, but in terms of the podcast, it's both ears.
Exactly.
So, as we started out this show, Tony mentioned that we're going to be talking about marriage hacks for the holiday season. And, it's really no surprise. The holidays are coming, right? We've mentioned this more than once that on the One Extraordinary Marriage show that they happen to show up every single year. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving and Christmas, kind of like clockwork. Thanksgiving's got a little flexibility because it's always like the fourth Thursday, however that works. But Christmas, always December 25th. And, along with the holidays comes a little bit of stress, right? Because it's time with everyone at home, time with your extended family and all of their quirks. And it's okay. You can all smile and nod now because every family has the quirky relatives.
And your stress level may differ depending on the size of your family and the travel you have to do. It's funny, yesterday Elise and I were at a wedding and just talking about the holidays are coming up with some couples. Our family has shrunk in size over the years.
Sure.
And yet we were talking to this one couple and they were saying there's 100?
About 100 now that get together for Christmas Eve.
And so their stress level may be a bit different than our stress level because of just family size and dynamics and people and kids and all that. So, hey, stress is still stress and it can impact you no matter how many folks you may be seeing.
Right. And on top of that, there's all of the to-do lists, right? Some of you still send out cards. So you've got to get the family pictures taken and you got to get the cards ordered. You got to get the, Christmas letter or novel written. You've got the baking to do and, all of the invitations that you're processing. And there's so many good, amazing things that happen during this season. But then there's a feeling that there isn't enough time to get it all done. And that's when you as a couple start to feel the overwhelm. And when that comes, right, you start to maybe get a little impatient, guilty. Maybe you're a little short-tempered, guilty. Maybe those words that you're using towards one another, not so loving.
Tend to be a little sharper. Maybe they have a little different tone to them, not as loving, more harsh.
Any of the above, guilty of that as well. And, all of that leads to a general sense of disconnectedness, right? Which, this is supposed to be like the happiest, jolliest time of the year. And yet for so many couples, it's like, oh, this is driving me crazy. And you're starting to think, maybe the holidays just aren't so merry, right? Maybe that whole merry thing, that's for other people because what do we all see on our social media feeds? The perfect family pictures, the perfect cookies, the Pinterest-worthy decorating and wrapping, and you're just like, I can't do it.
Well, what's that other thing too? That Santa guy.
Oh, Elf on a Shelf.
Oh, Elf on a Shelf.
I'm like, what's the Santa guy?
Yeah.
What is that?
Hey, I've heard in the past some couples freaking out about that darn Elf on a Shelf thingy. So I'm going to just tell you right now, if that's freaking you out and stressing you out, maybe this is a year you don't do Mr. Elf on the Shelf,
or whatever
him.
You've named him or her, because the holidays don't have to be a time of disconnect. They don't have to be something that you just, quote, make it through in order to get to the new year so that you can get crazy about doing this all over again. You don't have to throw up your hands and just say, forget it about either the holidays or about your marriage. I actually, in preparation for this show, I Googled most stressful time of the year for marriages. Right? I was like, I'm just curious. I mean, I had an inkling, but I was like, what does Google say? Right? The authority on all things. Article after article mentioned the holiday season, specifically Christmas, as the most stressful time for marriage. And the truth is that I didn't need to Google it because we've seen this play out year after year at one. We see it in the emails that we start to receive round about this time of year, early to middle November. We see it in all of the coaching inquiries that begin to come in and in the products that people are buying in the One Extraordinary Marriage store. Like all of those things tell us that this is a tough time for couples. And what we want to do is we want you to look forward to the holidays with joyful expectation, to be equipped with those small steps that the two of you can do. Because if you start to dread the holidays, like if November rolls around and you're like, just picture Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Oh no, Pooh, it's the holidays again. This is going to be really, really bad. I'm telling you, you're going to get a really, really bad season. It's going to happen because you start putting that out there and it's going to change how the two of you relate. And for those of you that are brand new listeners, first of all, welcome. We're super excited to have you. And what we're going to be talking about next is the intimacy circle, right? We talk about 6 different intimacies often here at One Extraordinary Marriage, and they all get impacted during this stressful time, because you get really stressed, your emotional intimacy is going to hit the toilet.
It can take a dive very quickly.
Right. You get to the point where you're talking about you need to do this, right? We just started assigning tasks. Somebody has to get the cards. You get the cards. I'm going to make the cookies. You wrap the gifts. I'm going to stay up late assembling, right? And that's not emotional intimacy, right? That's just do this, do that, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's your physical intimacy that takes a nosedive during the season. And I'm not just talking about, the quick peck on the cheek. I'm talking about some of you just like take a break from November to December. You don't have sex at all because you're telling each other, I'm too busy. I'm too busy for this. I'm too busy to connect with you. I'm too busy to have sex with you. And there's all of these other things. And the idea of like having to squeeze one more thing in, you're like, that's getting relegated. Or maybe it's your financial intimacy. Now, I don't know if you guys caught the show that we did. It was probably about a month ago. Yeah, give or take 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was called Christmas is Coming. Right? We did an entire show on financial intimacy because I'm telling you, when you start going out and buying those Christmas presents, if you don't have a plan, not good.
Yeah. And that was 4 weeks ago. That was the holidays are coming, and we dive into financial intimacy and how that can impact you and what you can do this year so it doesn't.
And we'll make sure to have a link to that show as well. But, your recreational intimacy, like the time that the two of you spend just as a couple, can take a huge hit because, there are all the invitations to the Christmas parties. There's the work Christmas party. There's, every kid's got a Christmas program. And there's just, like, how are we going to do this? And when are we going to do this? And all of a sudden you're like, when was the last time that you and I just did something? And I'm telling you, it's like I was telling a coaching couple earlier this week. If you two don't spend time together, it's very hard to be intimate. Just fact.
Get those walk and talks in.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to make it happen, you guys. That's the easiest way to get something in, just you guys. And if you have littles, get them bundled up. I know we live in Southern Cal, so it's a little easier for us compared to those of you in those colder areas around the world. I get it. But, bundle yourselves up, make it happen if you can.
Right. Because, as we're talking about these different intimacies, and there's 2 more that I just want to hit on that can have disconnect, as we're doing this, right, when all of these things, think about it, guys. If you've got a circle or a wheel, right, think about a tire, I guess is the better example, and a part of your tire is flat, you don't function well.
Yeah, you're going to feel
you
that
don't roll.
Thump, 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 thump every time around.
Right. And that's why we talk about the 6 intimacies, because we want your wheels. We want your marriage rolling, right? And rolling into the new year equipped and strong. Speaking of the new year, right? How, so many of you get so busy and so overwhelmed that you stop talking about your dreams. You start talking about your goals. You stop talking about, the future, because you're just like, I got to get this done, right? Like I can't have a conversation with you about life because I just got to get this done, right? Well, that intellectual intimacy, right? You need to be able to still be connecting on that level with your spouse. Right? It matters. It's not just the Christmas season, right? It's like 4 weeks, guys. 4 weeks that can like put your marriage into a tailspin if you don't have a plan for it.
Yeah, totally. And I just want to say one thing. If you're experiencing or have experienced some loss over the year, and this time of year can really hit you hard. And believe me, I'm walking through that. Been talking to my mom about that because this will be the first holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that Dad's not going to be around. Make sure you reach out to some bereavement help, counseling. That's what it's there for. And just make sure you do step out and get that, because without that, the stress of the holidays can just be 10, 20, 30 times, 100 times more heavier than it really needs to be, because you just need to be able to speak out what's going on inside of you. That's really hurting.
And that's another part that needs to be shared with your spouse.
It is.
Right? Because
Definitely.
If they don't know, then their reactions are going to be different than if they're like, oh, he or she is dealing with this. Right? It's all part of it. And, additionally, the last one is your spiritual intimacy. For many in the one family, this is the reason for the season, Right. But what does that look like? Like, how do you continue to foster your spiritual intimacy when you're like, I got to do this and we got to go here and somebody wants us at their house on Christmas Eve and what about Christmas Day and are we going to go to service and are we still praying for each other and I don't have time to do my devotional, right? And you're just like, oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. And so then you're like, well, you know what? I'll just pray in January, right? Like I'll just pick it up again in January, right? Because we don't have a plan for all of these things. And we want to share, like, I outlined all 6 of them and just the potential pitfalls because Tony and I want to share those hacks that you can, I love the term hacks because it is like, chopping down a tree, but those things that you can do in one or more of these intimacies to really look at this next season, this holiday season and go, you know what? We're going to be stronger than ever. We're going to be better than ever. And
we're going to have less stress than ever. And we're already talking into it now. Mm-hmm. This is the key. I mean, you guys as a couple are already coming together in agreement and saying, you know what? This year is going to be different. This year we are going to talk about it before it hits us. And we're going to be better equipped and ready for it. Doesn't mean, believe me, doesn't mean that there aren't going to be times when there will be stressful occasions, because those may come. And yet if you're more aware and prepared for it, the ability to sit down on Christmas Day and joyfully bask, for me as a husband and as a father, there's no greater joy than sitting down on Christmas morning and just basking and watching my family open up their presents and be around them.
Absolutely. And before we do that, we just want to remind you that one way to eliminate stress, right? One way to get through this holiday season, thinking about, experiences over stuff and to have more joy in your marriage is to let Kingdom Planners take care of all of the details for your next Disney vacation, no matter where in the world that you want to go with Disney, right? Stress-free means happy and relaxed and connected. So contact them today at kingdomplanners.com and tell them that you heard about them on the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. It will definitely be one less stress that you guys have to worry about.
That's right.
So as we're talking about all of this, some of you may have even heard as I was like, rattling off those things when we're talking about the pitfalls, you're like, this is making me stressed just thinking about it. First, take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath because the holidays are coming, right? And you're going to enter them this year with a different plan because you're listening to this show. Right. So you're already ahead of the curve from 2016 or 15 or 14, years past. Right. You're going to be proactive this year instead of reactive. Right. So often you've heard us talk about the word or the phrase being intentional. This is a whole nother area of your marriage where you're going to be intentional.
And here's the thing. Elisa even said, from years prior, you can probably look at years prior and figure out what has been a stressful situation for you and your spouse, and seeing that, you can now this year go, this has been where the stress comes upon me or us, and realize it, and now take what we're going to share so you don't have to make that or let that be a stressful time for you.
And one other thing with what Tony just said, remember that stress impacts the two of you differently, and different things cause different levels of stress, which is why you need to start.
So true.
You need to start with your emotional intimacy, right? You need to start having those conversations. What causes me stress? What causes you stress, right? What are our actual expectations? Oh, there's that word that we love so much at One Extraordinary Marriage. What are our expectations for the holidays? Right? What do I expect of you as my spouse? What do I expect of myself? What do I want to get done? What do I want to do? What do we want to do with the kids? Do we really need to send out Christmas cards, or can I just post our family picture on Facebook? Those types of things. Do I need to make 20 dozen cookies, or, can we do, a smaller number? Because I don't need to go all the way up and down the street with cookies. What does that look like?
And we've had to talk about this in our marriage many a times over, because Elisa's going to be the one who's going to be like, we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. And I tend to be like, what? It's okay. Pick pick 2 of the most important things or 3 of the most important things, and let's do those, and the rest, call it good. That's our relationship, though, and that's the way we've attacked these things over the years, because I tend to be less about like pleasing everybody and just making sure that we have a good time and we are having joyful moments throughout the holiday season. Believe me, there have been times when Elisa has driven me up the wall just crazy with all that she wants to do and get done. So been there.
This show is not just for all of you. The show is also for us. Like, let me just be clear that these are the things that we're doing as well. You start looking at what is our physical intimacy look like? And I'm not just talking about, the intimacy lifestyle, right? What's happening inside the bedroom, but how are we going to stay physically connected inside and outside the bedroom, right? What do we want this month, this 6 weeks to look like? Because if you don't have a plan, I'm telling you, you can get so busy that you can just like busy yourself out of having any type of physical connection with your spouse. But if you have a plan, then guess what? You don't find yourself on New Year's going, what just happened to the last 6 weeks?
I get a New Year's Eve kiss.
Well, I'm hoping you're getting more
in the new year.
I'm hoping you're getting more than a New Year's Eve kiss.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but that's what you're discussing here,
right.
Is that conversation of what does our physical intimacy look like? And
for those of you that, don't know, because you're brand new to the One Family, we talk about the intimacy lifestyle. It's a way to, like Tony says in the opening to the show, it's a way to schedule sex. So, wait, how do you say it? Schedule sex so you know when you're going to get some. Right? And never is that more important than during the holiday season, which is the most stressful season for couples.
Right.
So, something to think about, right? Financial intimacy. This is the one we did that show a month ago. But if you've got a plan for your financial intimacy, I'm telling you guys, you will get to the first without all of the, I don't want the credit card statement to come. We overspent. I didn't stick to the budget. Whatever that is.
Right.
There are lots of great places in marriage to have surprises. Having surprises in your finances is not one of them.
It's probably one of the biggest stressful situations you'll deal with prior to Christmas coming and after, So having a talk about this is vitally important. And again, we'll put the link to that show, because just walking through that and listening to that, I believe it's going to help you guys both go, okay, this is our plan. Interestingly enough, we had a member of the Position of the Month Club, after listening to that, said she saw the holiday spend and what they're going to be spending much differently after listening to that show. And because it just made so much sense to her that overspending or not being probably on the same page financially just added that undue stress to each of them.
And, we should put a link to Position of the Month Club in the notes, since you just mentioned that, in case anybody's like, what's that thing? You'll find all about it. Just come back to the show notes. The next intimacy that you need a hack for is your recreational intimacy, right? It does not matter that you're getting all of these invitations to all of these amazing things. Your marriage still needs the two of you to date during the holidays. Maybe because it's colder in most areas, maybe you need time in front of the fireplace, curled up under a blanket with 2 cups of hot chocolate. Maybe you need to go take a walk all bundled up in the snow. Tony mentioned walk and talks. If there's snow on the ground where you are, just get bundled up. If it's, a little chilly like it is here in San Diego, just get bundled up. Doesn't really matter. I still bundle. I'm with all my northern counterparts, once it gets below 60 degrees. But make that time to do things together during the holiday season. Stay physically connected on dates. Go out and just have a coffee date. Not a coffee break. That's totally different. Have a coffee date. Go look at the Christmas lights without the kids. Right? Do those fun things.
Yeah. I think we did that last year, because right around the block from where we lived, there was this great Christmas
Wonderland.
Yeah. And it was awesome to just experience that without our kids. Just Elise and I just walking down the street and seeing it, and people watching and seeing them ooh and ah, and people coming up and down in their cars, and you could hear them just being like, "Oh my gosh, look at that one or this one." It was definitely a fun experience to see it.
And it's those types of things that make memories that allow the two of you to actually foster your intellectual intimacy, right? Because there's so much to get caught up in the here and now and the end of 2017. But this is a great time for the two of you to be saying, what do we want 18 to look like, right? What do we want next year to be about for ourselves individually, for our marriage, for our family? What trips do we want to go on? I mean, we actually just started talking about what we want to do for summer vacation and started having that. And it's amazing because all of a sudden, and we know this, when you have something to look forward to, everybody gets engaged.
Right.
Right. It's that planning. It's saying, what do we dream about? We're not just living here in the moment, but what's coming next, right? And it gives the two of you and your family the opportunity to go, we're going to rally behind this. These are our dreams.
Yeah, there's a bigger purpose to your lives and to your marriage than these next 4 to 6 weeks.
So good.
There really is. And when you guys are able to discuss those, it doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition tomorrow. And yet it gives you the ability to go, we're still going to be in this marriage next year.
Right.
And so no matter what we deal with now, it's cool. We're going to walk through it together because we already know we're going to plan right after the holidays. We're going to get away. We're planning a trip in January to just get away and have fun if that's what you choose to do. But the ability to do that inside of everything else is fun. And it doesn't have to get crazy. You don't need to go add another major thing to your list. Elisa said we're bringing up our vacation for this summer because we only get 2 weeks. There's only a 2-week dead time where our oldest isn't in football practice
or sports of any kind.
So it's that time that we begin to go, okay, what do we want to do? And again, right now we're just dreaming, talking to the kids about where they would like to go, what we could do. And that's fun too. That just takes off the stress and just brings some joy and fun into our lives.
Yeah. And finally, there's your spiritual intimacy. What will the two of you do during this season to stay spiritually intimate, right? Are you planning on going to Christmas Eve service together? Are you going to be praying for each other and specific things in your marriage during this season? Are you going to choose this time to say, we're going to do a Christmas devotional together? What does that look like to foster the spiritual intimacy during this period of the year?
And over the years in the past, for myself personally, I'll just say, I've picked up the Bible and read about the birth of Jesus, that time of year, what's going on, to bring myself back to what we're really celebrating. And that alone, for me, allows me to take everything in and go, this is what it's about. And no matter what's coming at me and what may be coming around, we're still going to have to deal with that. And yet, this is why we celebrate. Yeah. And they can put as many ads as they want and as much Christmas music and as early as they want to put it up. But this is why we celebrate the holiday.
And as you look at the 6 different intimacies, I want to encourage you, don't try and tackle all of them this year. That will feel like one more ginormous thing on your to-do list. And you'll be like, I'm going to throw my hands up. Elisa, you're crazy. Pick 1 or 2. When I talked about the intimacy circle, look at where your marriage is right now and say, where are we a little flat? Where are we going thump, thump, thump? Because we got that flat spot on the tire. Pick 1, maybe 2 at the very most and say, that's what we're going to focus on this holiday season. We're going to get stronger here so that 2018, the start of 2018, we are stronger, we are better together, and we are excited about what's to come.
Yeah. So go out there, think about this, discuss it with your spouse more importantly than ever. I mean, this is where it all comes in and where the rubber hits the road. We have to take what we've said here and actually put it into action. And like Elisa said, take 1 or 2 of them, really, and just hone in on that. Think about what could happen with just one of them, decreasing stress in that one area of your life and what that could mean for you, your spouse, your family. and even your just well-being to enjoy this time of year. We love you guys. Have a fantastic week. We can't wait to hear from you. You can hit us up at 858-876-5663 or send us your hugs at hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. Love you guys, and we'll catch you next week.